Pregame.com.
Welcome back to Pregame.tv. We're heading from the SEC to the Big 12. We've got Kansas State at Texas Tech in Bryan, Texas Tech. They were rolling. Then they lost to Oklahoma in a game that really was a seesaw game. Could have went either way. Last week they come back, drew another tough assignment, a red-hot Oklahoma State ball club. They found themselves down, I think it was 21-0 right away. But they kept coming back, Texas Tech. They didn't just roll over and play dead, but then they ended up losing by a big margin. Oklahoma State ended up just being too much in the second half. Was Texas Tech counterfeit, or do you think last week was just that, the Dream Crusher game reality, they were flat, or is this a go-against team the rest of the way?
Kingsbury's done a great job for this team. I mean, I liked him as a player. I like him as a coach. He's done a great job. The problem is, and I'll get more into this when I do my explanation on the game, but we see this all the time out of Texas Tech. They beat up on the weaklings all season long, and when they get to the tougher teams in their conference, they always struggle.
We saw that in the Mike Leach area, in Kingsbury, and familiar with that situation. But Ken, what do you make of Texas Tech? I mean, they're going up against a fundamentally sound Kansas State team. I mean, a Bill Snyder team is never going to beat itself. That's one thing that you can always count on them. But can they match up with Texas Tech? We know what they did to Baylor. They lost, but they're the only team that kept Baylor in the 30s this year. Baylor scored 59 or more on every team this year other than Kansas State.
Yeah, Kansas State, I will say, they did beat themselves in the Oklahoma State game that they lost by 4 with those 13 penalties, which is unlike a Snyder team, but that is a good Kansas State team. Texas Tech, a team that should have lost in West Virginia, found a way to get it together late in the fourth quarter, pulled it out, went to Oklahoma, hung in there, like you said, a seesaw battle. Again, jury's still out on Oklahoma. When we thought they weren't that good, they went into South Bend and kicked some ass. So, we weren't sure. And so Tech had a chance to rebound, go to that game, like you said, down 21-0, 28-10, got 14 late points to make it 28-24 at the half, but then Oklahoma State stayed with the running game that has been very effective the last 2 poke victories, and all of a sudden they look solid. Kansas State, though, is a machine as far as they run the ball down your throat, they can pass it, they have 2 good quarterbacks, and I think they're a dangerous team right now. You don't want to play Kansas State, they are gelling.
Well, that was the key for Kansas State in that Baylor game. They were able to run the ball. I think they ran it like 59 times against Baylor. So, the best way to stop an offense is to keep it off the field, and that's what Kansas State was able to do with Baylor, shorten the game, but it still got to the point that, Baylor was able to get enough scores that Kansas State wasn't able to answer. So that's the question now. Texas Tech's not Baylor, obviously, but can they slow down Texas Tech in this game?
Yeah, Baylor actually shut out Kansas State in the fourth quarter on their home field, 14-0, because they trailed by 4 going to the fourth, got the 10-point victory, 35-25. So, again, Baylor's defense, much better. We all look at their offense. That defense is much better than it's been in the past.
All right, well, you know what, Brian? This is your free pick. Let's make it official.
I'm going to take the underdog here. The line's moving up from 2.5 to 3. It wouldn't surprise me if we get a 3.5 here. And when we do, that's where I'm jumping in. I'm taking the dog here at Kansas State. Bill Snyder's been a terrific coach in his tenure, his first tenure, his second tenure. Since he's come back, the last 2 years, the Wildcats have beaten Texas Tech by a combined score of 96-58, covering the spread by a total of 34 combined points. He knows how to play this type of offense. You take a look at the Wildcats the last 4 games, covering the spread by 43 points. As Ken pointed out, this is a team playing good ball. Wildcats 11-3 against the spread as a road dog since Snyder's come back. This is his preferred role. Take a look on the other side here at Texas Tech. Texas Tech has beaten SMU, Stephen F. Austin, TCU, Texas State, Kansas, Iowa State, West Virginia. Best team they beat was TCU. TCU is 2-6. This is not a good football team. This is a fake football team. Go back and look at the history of Texas Tech over the last few years. Their last 5 games of the season, they tank it. They just don't have the depth. Last 2+ years, they're 1-11 straight up. The last 5 games of the season, the lone win, double overtime against Kansas. Kansas sucks. Texas Tech's not good. Texas Tech should lose this game straight up. We don't even need the points, but we'll take the 3.5 anyway.
Bryan says to take Kansas State plus the points. He says he doesn't need the points, so I guess you're saying doing a little sprinkle too on the money line?
If I can get some value on the money line, that's what I'm playing. Yeah.
I like it, Sam. You have Sams and Waters, two solid quarterbacks.
Yeah. The other point that I'm going to put in when you talk about when you say that Texas Tech, as they get into later into the season and get wore out, the last 2 weeks they've had to face 50 rushing attempts from Oklahoma and 55 rushing attempts from Oklahoma State. That's big because that's going to wear a team out, and you've got another team that's going to come and run the ball down your throat again.
Real quick, if you could slow down Baylor like they did, that Baylor offense is twice as good as Texas Tech. So they've already faced the best high-octane offense in the country that I think, Oregon and Baylor won 1A, and Texas Tech's a grade down big time.
Yeah, you made a great point there when you talked about the rushing plays as opposed to overall plays and how long they've been on the field. Playing against a rushing offense is a whole lot tougher than just playing pass defense.
Oh, and when you get to the fourth quarter, you're wore out. And if you got a team that can run the football, it's great when you're trying to protect the lead. You can close out a game. You don't have to worry about throwing the football to close out the game, because if you throw an incompletion, you stop the clock and so forth. You keep the clock moving, protect the lead. Sounds like a great play, Bryan. We're going to be back next. We're heading to the NFL. We're going to finally get one of my plays. I know you've been waiting for it, and I'm bringing you one of the best games on the board on Sunday in the NFL. Oh, shoot. It's Jacksonville at Tennessee. That's up next. Pregame.tv.